We really designed everything we felt we were lacking in the past into this van.
So we have this portable shower tent. It's enclosed on the bottom as well. It's just everything's much slower in a van.
We made our bed as high as it could be while still having room to sit up fully so that we would maximize our storage underneath.
Hey, we're Hayley and Jake and welcome to our van. Welcome to the kitchen. We purposely created a large kitchen area because we were planning on designing this van for full-time travel. Over on this side of the kitchen, we've got our Furion oven. We placed it at the front half of the kitchen so that we could get lots of airflow when we were using our oven. It's got a propane cooktop and then it's got the oven part at the bottom here. Underneath the oven, we have a big storage drawer here where we keep all of our pots and pans, our toaster, our chopping boards. Our backsplash here is peel and stick wallpaper. It's vinyl wallpaper. It made it really easy for installing it, but it's also really easy to keep clean. And then on this side of the kitchen, we have our sink. We did an undermounted sink here. When we cut our butcher block, we kept the top just as a little bit of extra counter space. A design decision we made was we made the cabinets shorter in depth than what you would get in a standard house so that we could have a larger walkway here. So we took an inch off each side, so we gained 2 inches in the hallway. So there's a lot more space for moving around here, especially since there's both Jacob, I, and the dog. So the cabinetry, we custom built all of the cabinets as well as the drawer faces for both the uppers and the lowers. We went with true shaker doors, which it took a long time to build, but we were really happy with this style. And then for the drawers themselves, we built them out of birch plywood and then we edge banded the tops to give them a nice finish. And then we used undermount drawer slides. So you can't see them on this side because they're underneath, but it makes it really easy for installing the drawers and taking them out, and you get a little bit more of maneuverability with lining them up. And then for storage in the cabinets, there's 3 drawers right here. And here is where we keep all of our cutlery and our cooking utensils and a couple mugs. And then food is in these ones. We've got a tip out drawer here, which is a nice little spot to stash some things. We've got first aid kit, sewing kit, COVID masks. Under our sink is garbage and recycling here, and then cleaning supplies on the other side. And then another fun addition, since we made our cabinets ourselves, we custom designed all the dimensions, but we also added toe kick drawers. So then this is where we keep all of Finnley's things, and then we have just other bits and bobs like games and whatnot and other ones. Upper cabinets here are more kitchen supplies. So in this one here is where we keep all of our bowls or plates. Here we keep lots of tall supplies. And then on this side is more of our toiletries. This toothbrush holder is really handy. We can just slot our toothbrushes in here. So our upper cabinets, we use the frameless style latches, and then we have gas shocks from Home Depot here, and there's soft closing. Above me is our Max Air fan. We put it in the middle for a couple of reasons. One, our oven is right here, so we can crack the window and we can open the fan. We'll get nice airflow right over the oven. We also have 2 windows over the bed. So when it's warm in here, we can get a really nice cross breeze going by turning the fan on and opening the windows. So it keeps it nice and cool in here. On this side of the kitchen is where we have our fridge freezer combo. We decided to go with the 120 volt Master Chef. We just got it from Canadian Tire. It was about $100. We chose to go this option versus getting a 12 volt fridge freezer combo purely for price. We figured we can get 10 of these for the price of one of the 12 volts. But we really like this one because it's got the separate fridge freezer. So up here, we've got a pretty decent freezer size. You can get our ice cream or pizza, ice cubes, stuff like that. But we can get a lot of food in here. We've got our maple syrup with us. According to Jacob, you never leave home without your maple syrup. And then on this side, we've got another drawer, which is where we keep all of our food packaging. So we've got our Tupperware, we've got some food wraps, clips, upper cabinets over here. And this one is where we keep our blender, our thermoses. We've got a mixing bowl that we also double as a fruit bowl. We keep our bread up here, extra bag of coffee, and then this is our stash of teas. And then over here, this is our coffee cabinet. So this is all for making coffee. We've got our coffee, we've got our pour over, we've got our grinder, more coffee, more tea, more hot chocolate. And this cabinet's pretty cool as well. This is our electrical panel. So this is where we keep all of our buttons, and we can see like the status of our fresh tank, our gray tank. Can turn off our inverter here. I didn't want to have a big panel of buttons, so Jake built a door. So our lights, we've got 2 rows of LED lights on the top, and they are on 3-way dimmable switches. One of the switches is back here that we can control from bed, and then at the front on the door here, so that when we first come in, we can turn the lights on and off.
So we're interested in long-term travel for quite a long time. In 2019, we took our first trip together in a minivan in Iceland. So we spent 2 weeks traveling Iceland in a Renault Kangoo, which was essentially a bed and the front, and we loved it. So we came back to North America and we bought our next van, which was a 1985 Dodge B250 we named Vincent. And we took this van on a 6-month trip from Vancouver to Florida and back. But it really had a lot of things that could be desired. It had no overhead storage, it had very little power, it was quite old and very poorly insulated. That allowed us to figure out all the things we wanted to have in our van that we would convert ourselves. So we came home, we sold that van, and we bought this one. We really designed everything we felt we were lacking in the past into this van. We had enough water to go weeks at a time without having to fill up. We have enough power and solar that we can run our computers and our heater and our lights and everything we want to run a full fridge and freezer without having to worry about it. And we have a well insulated and heated van so that if we're skiing, if we're in Bend, if we're on the desert in Baja, we are not going to be too hot or too cold.
We like being able to go travel and bring Finnley with us. I didn't want to go off globetrotting and then leave him at home. It just wasn't the same. So the style of travel with having everything packed with you in the van and meandering at your own pace and being comfortable was very appealing to us. So we worked to take the steps to make it happen.
Since we designed our van for full-time travel, having a spot for us to sit and hang out as well as a spot for Finnley to sleep was very important to us. In our last van, he slept on our bed and we didn't want that in this one. So we really wanted him to have his own area. He's a large dog. So that led us to building a bench. This bench is where we eat lunch, it's where we mount our table, it's where we work on our computers at night, and it's also where we keep more storage, we keep Finnley's food, we keep our toilet, and it's also where we keep our S-Bar B4 heater. And then when we want to sit, it's a good spot to read a book, hang out when you don't want to be on the bed, and it's just nice to have a separate seating area in the van so it's not standing or bed. So we went with a Thetford cassette toilet in this van. We don't have a composting toilet. We figured we didn't really need one. So we call it our fancy porta potty. It has an electric flush. It's a bit higher and it's a bit more comfortable than the standard cassette toilets you find in vans. So to get at the storage and anything under the toilet, it's on gas shocks so the lid holds itself up. We take the top cushions off and kind of stow them, and then we just kind of pull it up, and most of the time it stays up and we have easy access to all of our storage. So we keep things down in here we don't need to access all the time, like spare shoes, Finnley's extra dog food, our toilet, and we store some of Finnley's toys here so that when we go to the beach or we're going to a park, he has all of his toys with him as well.
So the main way that we shower is through Planet Fitness. However, when we are boondocking and we need another alternative for showering, we have this setup. So we have this portable shower tent. It's enclosed on the bottom as well. And we open up our cabinet doors where we have eye hooks that we can attach these bungee cords to. We can hook the shower up. It's got a zipper here so that we can go inside. And then we can lift our bed up and bring our shower hose through. So it's right here. And then we just put it over the top and then we can shower. And then the drain line, there's a built-in drain line at the back here that we can hook onto the plumbing system, and then we have a recirculating shower at the back, so it'll filter everything and then send it back to us so we can shower inside the van. And then when it's warm outside, we can set this up by the back doors and shower outside.
So in our van, we went with a fixed raised bed. We didn't want to go with a conversion bed because we didn't want to be building a bed every day, and we wanted the extra storage that a fixed bed gives. We made our bed as high as it could be while still having room to sit up fully so that we would maximize our storage underneath. So we designed our bed to lift up. This gives us really easy access to some great storage. So on this side is kind of our stash storage where we keep our backpacks, our moonshade, things we might want to grab easily inside the van. On the right side is our water tank, so we have easy access to do anything we need to do with that. And in the middle is actually where we keep our table that we mount on a lagoon mount. We have a super easily accessible spot to store our table that doesn't take up any extra space. We lift up the bed, put it on, and it's good to go. To make a bed into a couch, we lift it up like this, either out the back or into the van, and then we have some straps that we use just to hold it up. We could have used gas shocks that were strong enough to hold our weight, but if we did, we wouldn't really be able to put it down. So we figured gas shocks to hold it up, make it easy to lift, and so it doesn't fall on us, and then just use little tie straps to keep it up when we're leaning on it. So we went with a ProMaster van. It is a little bit shorter than the Transit and the Sprinter, but it's wider. This allowed us to orient our bed widthwise. So we built our bump outs to have a bed that's 6'4", which is big enough for me, which is 6 feet, and Hayley, who's a little bit smaller than that. This is a short queen 6-inch memory foam mattress, and it is surprisingly comfortable. So we get a really good night's sleep on here without having to sacrifice as much interior space in the van. On either side of the bed, we have windows. This allows us to get good airflow even when it's quite hot. So we can open one and have our fan on and get a good breeze going over us even when we're in the desert or it's the summer. On this side of the van, we decided to build our overhead cabinets the full length from the door to the back. And this allows us to really maximize our storage. So in these drawers, we have our clothes. This is essentially our closet area. It's my clothes and Hayley's clothes. And then we both have upper shelves dividing it. So we have our pants and things on the bottom and then shirts on top. And this, combined with our drawers under the van, allows us to have all the clothes we need for all the different seasons that we're going to be in the van, because again, we designed this for long-term 4-season travel. So we installed our S-Bar controller right here on the side of the bed, so that while we were in bed, if it was cold, we could turn the heater on, wait for the van to get a bit toasty before we get up, so we don't have to get up into a cold van. We specifically made sure we had our light switches beside the bed so we could turn the lights off from bed. We have our key storage right here just so that we can have our keys beside us when we're going. And we have outlets that are easily reachable from the bed so that we can charge our phones easily at night as well. The ceiling of our van is a natural pine tongue and groove, and we wanted our van to have a more beachy theme and vibe. So we went with a lighter paint on the walls, kind of a golden colored butcher block and floor to kind of tie the whole thing together.
One of the biggest unexpected challenges is just how long it takes to do everyday things. It takes about 2 hours to get from the bed to the driver's seat. And just so everything else you have to do in between getting there. It's just everything's much slower in a van. And then you're always constantly thinking about, where are you sleeping tonight? Where are we going to park? Where are we going to make lunch? How much solar, how much battery power do we have? Can we stop for an extra couple of days? Do we need to drive a little more? Can we park in the shade or do we have to park in the sun? There's just lots more things to think about. And it's different from living in a house. You take a lot of things for granted in a house. You don't realize how much you rely on your utilities until you move into a van. Even like your water usage, your gray tank, things like that. Gotta think about them all.
One thing we really liked about van life that we didn't necessarily expect is the slow travel and the places that you kind of run into in between your destination. In this van and in our last van, we would sometimes just be meandering. We'll be in a place we didn't really know anything about. Like you'll get to the Pacific Coast Highway or you'll get to South Carolina and you'll just drive down the coast and you run into all the cute little towns and the places you like, you just spend more time. With a van, you can camp in some of the most beautiful places and everything you need is here with you. If you want to stay in a spot longer, you can. If you don't, you can keep going. It allows you the flexibility to keep moving without hotel reservations and planning ahead. It's just the flexibility to do what you feel like doing, and then if you don't, move on.
That's a pretty picture. Like we stayed at Cracker Barrel last night, so like you don't always get to park up at these beautiful spots. It's you give and you take, but all of it together, the simplicity of the lifestyle is just, it's a lot of fun.
It's nice to just be able to do it together and do it slowly.
Welcome to the front of the van. We originally started off with a 3-seater bench seat up here, but we switched it out so that we could have 2 single bucket seats, and then that gave us access from the front seats to the back of the van. Up here is where we've got light storage. This part of the van is a part of the crumple zone, so we didn't want to put heavy things up here, so we keep our reusable shopping bags, towels, jackets, and our leg for our legume mount. This curtain rod we threw up very quickly. We were going on a trip. We realized we didn't have curtains, so we went to Home Depot. We got one of these dowel rods and anchors, and we just cut it down, attached it with some cross nuts, and called it good enough. So we also use these little hooks. These are incredibly handy. We'll use them to hang our jackets, or after showering we'll hang our towels and our loofahs. We added buck screens here. We got them off Amazon and then we hemmed them. We went with a 3-way panel so that we can get access to our window and the door here. And then above the door, we finished it off by building a bookshelf. So we've got a white bookshelf with a cedar trim. This is left over from our deck on the roof. And then we've got 2 bookshelves on either sides of our cabinets for more book storage.
Because we wanted to have our van ready for 4-season travel, we really wanted to have good insulation. So we had our van professionally spray foamed early on in the build. So we have quite thick insulation all around, which keeps it really warm in even the winter conditions we're having right now. From the back of our van, our doors open up and then our bed lifts up, again, to give you the couch on the inside if you want it, and to give you good access to your back storage. So on the right side right here, we have kind of a user accessible electrical panel. So that's where we have all of our fuses. We have a disconnect for our alternator charging. We have a disconnect for our batteries and for our solar. So we can completely isolate our system when we're working on it for safety. We also have our AC breakers up here for disconnecting those as well, and for a bit of safety on our AC lines. And then we have a curtain back here just to clean off our back so people can't necessarily see in when we're opening our back doors. Lifting up the bed, you can access our water filters and our water lines. We have our ladder right here. And then just pulling this back, we have extra storage as well. So the middle part goes to where our underbed drawers come to. And on the right, it goes all the way to where our kitchen is. So you can get long things in there like a snowboard or anything longer like that you might want. Our van also has an undermount gray tank on the passenger side, which is 15 gallon and gives us a good amount of water capacity before we have to dump. We have a 100 liter, 25 gallon freshwater tank under the bed. And we chose to keep that inside so that we didn't have to worry about it freezing in cold climates. On the right, under the passenger side, we have our electrical panel. You pull this back and that's where our electrical system is. So we have solar and alternator charging, a 3 kilowatt inverter charger, which allows us to plug into shore power as well. And then we also have 200 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries. And that whole thing is controlled and monitored through a Bluetooth device that we can use on our phones. So while driving, we could set our charging if we wanted to turn it down for some reason. We can see how our batteries are doing, what our solar is, and we can really monitor our system completely from our phones. On the roof of our van, we have a custom built deck. We built it out of Unistrut, and we did that so that it would be kind of configurable, so we could put all the positions exactly where we needed them for our van. The ProMaster comes with brackets on the roof, which means you can attach things like this deck without drilling into it at all. So we bought adapter brackets and that they bolted straight to the Unistrut, and that allowed us to pick up off our roof. On the deck, we have 4 100-watt solar panels. They're connected in parallel, which gives them the most shade tolerance. It means that with one is in the shade, the other 3 will still be working optimally. Our solar panels are bolted to the Unistrut. They're torqued properly and they're using Loctite. And then the rest of the deck is a cedar space for us to come and drink our coffee, get a bit of a good view, or just watch sunset. We went with a telescoping ladder because we didn't want a permanent one that people could just get up here whenever they wanted. And then we also have our Max Air fan, which you saw in the inside, and then just some brackets in the back so that our ladder is more secure when we're climbing up it.
You don't need a big fancy camper van to go out camping.
It's also very easy to get caught up in Instagram. It's very easy to try to compare what you're doing to what other people are doing, but it doesn't really help. So maybe use that for inspiration for something you might like, but at the end of the day, you need to remember why you wanted to get into it in the first place.
We spent the first year of our van with spray foam and a mattress in the back, and we still had a great time. Didn't look good on Instagram, but we had a great time. So.
Build the things you need to do the reason you wanted to do it. Don't worry about all the trim pieces or what it looks on Instagram. At the end of the day, it's about using the van the way you want to use the van. So just go and do it and have the experiences.
Have fun. Thanks for watching our van tour. We hope you enjoyed it.
If you want to see more from us, we are currently driving from Vancouver down to Cancun, so we're putting out video series like that. We also have video series for our entire van build on our channel. We're on YouTube and Instagram at Hayley and Jake, and we're fairly active on both of those.
Thanks, and we'll see you on the road.
Bye.